Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakrito Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastvanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangai Istuštubhagum Sastanubhi Veshema Devahitan Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaah Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaah Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemiः Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let's chant verses number 13, which we did last time, and 14 that we will do today. Number 13. Swapne sajivaha sukha dukkha bhokta. Swapne sajivaha sukha dukkha bhokta. Swamayaya kalpita jivaloke. Swamayaya kalpita jivaloke. Sushuptikale sakale viline. Sushuptikale sakale viline. Tamobhibhutah sukharupameti. Tamobhibhutah sukharupameti. Then number 14. Punascha janmantara karma yogat. Punascha janmantara karma yogat. Sa eva jivah swapiti prabuddhaha. Sa eva jivah swapiti prabuddhaha. Puratraye kridati yascha jivah. Puratraye kridati yascha jivah. Tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram. Tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram. Adharamanandamakhanda bodham. Adharamanandamakhanda bodham. Yasmin layam yati puratrayancha. Yasmin layan yati puratrayancha. So what we've been looking at to see the nature of our life, the nature of everybody, to get an insight into what is our, how to analyze our life's experiences so that we can gain the ultimate sense of freedom. Really, the life is all about gaining a sense of freedom. A sense, freedom meaning joy. So the essence of the whole life is joy. Ananda Rupam. It's really this is what our religion says, that our shastras, our spirituality says that really the essence of life is joy. But we don't have our experiences being completely joyful. In fact, the joyful nature of it is the minority. The majority of our experience are non-joyful. But what the Shastra is pointing out is that please see what is happening. Why is it that despite your nature being joyful, without being that, you are unable to see the you're unable to reach the complete freedom. This is what we have to really see. This is what the whole study is all about. And so in looking at that, the Shastra is asking us to please follow the teachings in a way that allows you to analyze your life at a high level. We are analyzing our life in the detailed level, which is okay. But if you really want to understand the ways of gaining complete freedom, because to analyze our life in detail doesn't give you complete freedom. It gives you temporary respites. It's kind of like a journey where, once you get tired, you sit down and make a little camp. And then this is what those people that go for, big hikes that they do is, in the very beginning, I was, when I first came to this country, I had a friend, still one of my best friends, and he was very fond of hiking. In India, I'd never done any hiking. I was 23 years old when I came here to do my graduate study. And so he says, no, come on, let's go to the Sierras. And we trekked through. It was kind of interesting to get an idea about how the trekking, this was very cold in the snow country. But Dick Matthews, my friend, he was just an excellent guide. So then after hiking for like an hour or two, we would set up some camp. And then we'd sit down, and then we will heat up some coffee and have some food, and maybe just take a quick shut eye and just rest for a while. And we feel very good. And I certainly was not fond of hiking that much. I was not used to hiking. So to me, those respites were very useful. Then it's time to go. You just collect all the things, you put them in your backpack, and then you're going. Really speaking, our lives are like that. That we just rest for a while. Every night is actually a rest. You should be able to rest at other places, but if nothing else, you cease moving forward at night time and you just rest. And you feel good about it. But then your karmas say, wake up. We have a long ways to go. So we're really all searching for a complete sense of freedom, and we're not able to get it because each journey just appears to be a stop in. It's an everlasting journey where stoppages are pleasantful but temporary. This is what exactly happens. And what Vedanta says is that, by the way, what you see this phenomena within one life, you should be able to see that this phenomena goes on forever. And the only thing that makes you pause and doubt whether this goes on forever is that you lose your your life. You lose your life. And then you feel that I'm done. This is the end. But now through the revelations of this teaching, we are said that really all that is just an extended pause where you redo your equipment. And as you see all this, then you see the whole picture at a macro level. And the picture is that I am really just on a very long trek. And so much so that at the end of one segment of the trek, I have to get new equipment. So my gross body has to be changed. But the subtle body remains the same. So my mind and my personality and my tendencies and who I think I am continues. So this is what the Shastra points out. Don't you see this? This is exactly what is happening. That you are on a long, long trek. So the question is, if it's a long trek, then what's the end of it? Where do I finally, all these small stops, like we went to, I forget the name of the mountain that we were climbing, somewhere in the Sierras, but we finally reached the very top. I think it's Mount Whitney, although I'm a little not sure whether it's Mount Whitney or not. So we went all the way up to the top. And there we said, we have finished. We're done. Now it's just on our way back and so on. Anyway, the end of it was, just to give you a story, I am not a natural hiker. I want to have the comfort of my own bed and own bathroom, water, and taking showers every day. That life suits me better. And even now, I see people hiking and having a joy of it and so on. I enjoy nature, but that's not me. Anyway, so we were done. So in the life's trek, the question is, when do you get done? That is the topic of the 14th verse that we are going to study today. So before we do that, just to summarize what we have seen on up to this point. So here the scriptures say that please see that your life is going around and around in circles. In fact, we have talked about this before also, that the entire design of the whole cosmos by God, by Ishvara, is through circles. Everything is done through circles. Even when it looks like it's a straight line, as my life appears to be. I was born here, and at the end of this table, I will fall off. The life appears to be a line. It is not a line, it's a circle. That, as we saw earlier, that you just take up another gross body, keep your same mind and keep improving. It's a circle. Even when it's a line, it appears to be a line, it is a circle. Really, the entire design is made out of circular. All the electrons and protons. I mean, just look at this. We have talked about this so many times that if you look at a table, which appears to be solid and stable and inert and unchanging. And I mean, this table is, I remember, when did we get this? I think it is about 55 years or so. 55 to 60. I think we got this, no, it's about 50 to 55. After we got married, and this is imported from India. There's, you cannot see this, but there is some work. Is it on the other side? Yeah, you can see some of the handiwork that is done. And I remember I had my parents bring it. We actually packed it. Anyway, this table is 55 years old. Stays same, looks exactly the same. It's not the same. If you really take the instruments and look at it with microscopes, you'll see that there is nothing but circular motions of atoms and electrons and protons and so on. That's exactly what is happening. The body is also made out of electrons, protons. The table also is made out of electrons and protons. So when you thump it, all that happens is there is some magnetic forces that do not allow the two surfaces to penetrate. That's all. There's nothing flatness in the whole world. Everything is a circle. My life is also in a circle. This is what we have to see. And the circular motion, as we have discussed it in the last few classes, it's very fascinating. The basic repetitive time period for a circle is 24 hours. A lot happens in 24 hours. What happens is that in these 24 hours, I star in 3 movies. I am acting in 3 movies. And in verse number 14 it says, you are visiting 3 cities as though. 3 separate cities. And here Swami Viditatmananda ji explains this very well if you look at the explanations of this. So you are the person who one day is in San Francisco. Another day you are in San Jose. Another day you may be in Fremont. So there are 3 cities that you visited. Your experiences in San Francisco, in San Jose, and Fremont are different from each other. One place has all these, you know what San Francisco has become. It is really just how it has deteriorated over the years. It was such a magical place when I first came in 1964 from India. It was really magical, honestly. It still is pretty good, but I think the crime, the homelessness, and it's an unsafe place to go to now. You cannot even leave your car, especially if you have anything visible. Just my son who lives there, my younger son, was telling me that this is about 2 or 3 years old story, that he had invested in some property and he was renovating it. So on the downstairs there is a retail unit, and so the old tenant had moved out and he was renovating it, and he was waiting for these workers to come. So he had parked his car and he was just kind of like looking at his cell phone to see if there are any messages. All of a sudden, in front of this retail store, there was a huge van, kind of like a station wagon with windows and so on. he found 4 people that went to the 4 windows of this station wagon or van or something, some big one, which was full um, of some luggage. We had some boxes in there. So these people knew what they were talking about. 4 of them with 4 hammers. This is right in front of him. They knocked down the 4 windows, opened the doors, took all the luggages out and fled. All within less than a minute. There was hundreds of people around it. This is a place where, you could see, but nobody could do anything. San Francisco has become, anyway. So there are 3 cities that you're visiting. Each city has its own. That doesn't happen in Fremont. It's a nice suburban city, quiet, and so on. Crime is increasing, but so the point is that the nature of your experience in the 3 cities is very different. But the experiencer is the same. Well, this is exactly what happens in 24 hours. So you can look at it, either you are acting in 3 different movies, or you are you're visiting 3 different cities. So this is what it says. Yeah. The third line. Puratraye kridati yascha jivaha. In fact, you know what? We might as well do the word meaning of the entire verse so that you are clear about it, and then we will put it all together. So I'm interrupting explaining this, and we will come back to it. So he says, anyway, so one introduction to the whole verse. So, sorry about interrupting the interruption, but I hope to go back to what I was saying so you don't get lost. The life is in a circle. 24 hours is a circle. Circle in the sense that after each 24 hours, you are exactly at the same point that you were 24 hours ago. And you will be at the same point 24 hours later. So the circle is 24 hours. Very carefully designed by God. Okay? So in this one, you are basically sleeping through. You may be sleepwalking, but it is sleepwalking, not real walking. There is a difference between sleepwalking, where you just don't know what you're doing. Your eyes are open. I think I have heard, there used to be somebody in our family a long time ago that used to be this sleepwalker. Apparently this is a phenomenon where a person is half asleep and is walking. Amazing. So this is exactly what happens. So in our case also, we are basically sleepwalking. From a spiritual standpoint, as we will see, spiritual means from the standpoint of the analysis of the truth about ourselves, we are sleepwalking. And we're sleepwalking in a circle. And what we need to do is to wake ourselves up. The question is, and so the last few verses were to describe the nature of the sleepwalking. We are basically the jiva The person who is a human being is asleep to the nature of oneself. The question is, how do we wake up? What makes us up? And what happens when we wake up? This is what we have to see. That is given in this verse, number 14. So up to 13, it was the nature of the sleepwalking, the 3 different states, the 3 different movies, 3 different cities that we visited, and we go on a circle, and after that, then we begin to wake up. So that's the introduction to number 14. Now let us look at the word meanings, and then we will put it all together. So word meanings. Punaha. Punaha means again. Punascha. Punaha cha. Janmantara karma yogat. Because of the deeds done in the past life. Because there's a continuity. This is what we were talking about earlier. There's no discontinuity. It's a complete circle. And all that happens is that you run out of gas and you have to replenish the gas. But you have to keep on going. So, Janmantara Karma Yogat Saha Eva Jivaha. Same person. You see, so a person who is born as a baby, you know, it is interesting. Whenever I talk to my youngest granddaughter, my vision is she's a 1-year-old baby. My vision about her is that she came to us from someplace. What she was, we don't know. And in fact, I really always address, her name is Sanya. I said, Sanya, thank you for choosing our family for coming. I don't know where you came from, but you made a decision, and we want to make sure your decision of joining our family is rewarded, well rewarded. May we never forget it. And so, you know, we don't know who she was, who was a he or a she, and where she was and what life they had, but it was true. And then you just start all over again with this small baby. It looks like a nice, gentle baby and so on. But you have such a huge background of hundreds of lives before that. So this is what it is. Janmantara karma yogat. Sa eva jivaha. Same jiva. By the way, as you know, there are hundreds of examples where people have identified their previous life. It's not as though we are waiting for these confirmations. In fact, most of them are exceptions to the rule. They should not happen, but somehow something happens where they have a memory of their previous life. Not one, hundreds of cases where people, I was reading about this about, 10 years or so ago, that there was this 5-year-old boy who was talking. I think I talked about this in this class or some other class. A 5-year-old boy said, my wife and 4 kids or something like that. And they found out that he knew exactly who they were. So there is confirmation of it. So it's the same person who takes on another form. Anyway, that's what it is. Swapiti, as though dreams and sleeps. Prabuddhaha, puratraye. Puratraye means Prabuddha means fully awake. So here, prakarshena buddha. So there is a prefix pra. Pra is not just buddha, not sleepwalking, but real walking. Complete awake. Puratraye. Puratraye is the three cities. Traya means three and Puraha means a town. Puratraye. In the three cities. Kridati means he acts in these three movies or he plays in these three cities. Today I was in San Francisco. Like that. Sajivaha, from whom tu jatam is born sakalam. So anyway, this is a little difficult to understand, but let me finish this first and then I'll talk about this. Sakalam, the entire varied Anandam, joy, akhanda bodhanam, unbroken consciousness, yasmin, in whom layam, dissolution, yati, goes, punatrayam, all the three cities, disjointed. So let's just look at the sentence and then we will see. Again, because of deeds done in the past life, the very same jiva comes back to the dream or wakefulness. The jiva who thus sports in the three cities is the substratum, the indivisible consciousness and joy from whom the entire varied diversity has sprung up and in whom alone all the three cities dissolve. This is it. This is the thing, right? So it's in this way. It may be a little harder to understand how the cities dissolve in him, because the cities are the stages that he visits. How can the stages dissolve in him? May be difficult to visualize, so we need to probably go to another example, which in my view is better to understand this fact, which is I act in three movies. There this fact is easier to see. How? If I'm acting in three movies, I am taking on a certain role in the movie which is different from each other. Movie number one has nothing to do with the plot of movie number two, has nothing to do with movie number three. Back again to movie number one, which is totally different. The roles are different. The script is different. The costumes may be different. Totally different from each other. And the roles are all played by the same actor. And the roles are based on the actor. And at the end of the roles play, it dissolves back into the actor. The actor is the very substratum for the role. It springs up from the actor, stays in the actor while the role is going on, and dissolves back in the actor. The actor can go back to the green room, take off the clothes, change it, take off all the makeup, It's gone back into the actor alone. That is a better example. But conceptually, the visiting of the three cities, the various experiences, are pretty much the same thing. So this is the sequence that we should understand as to how the whole life evolves. So here, now we can relate it to, we can no longer, we don't have to go through examples, we can see it ourselves. So the three movies that I play with within a 24-hour period is the one where I am identified with my gross body. The visible body. That's my identification. There it is the waking state. Then in the second movie, I am only identified with the subtle body but not the gross body. I manufacture a gross body which is also a mind-oriented body. It is not created with the five elements. It is just manufactured by my mind. And I play a role in that movie which is a mental movie, not a physical movie. And then after that, that's the dream experience. Then in the deep sleep, I take off. It's a kind of like a rest. It's not even a movie. It's a respite from the movie, where I'm just resting from the other two. It's a lack of a movie. It's a movie where it's a restful movie, if you want to call it that. Okay? And then I go back again to identification with the gross body, back to the identification with the subtle body, and then in the deep sleep, I'm only identified by my causal body, ignorance, but there is no other identification with the subtle body or the gross body. This is exactly what this circle that I am going through. Okay? All right, now let's just look. Here, in this example, it is said that I am very involved in the three experiences, very taken up by my experiences that are different between the three movies, three different cities. I don't pay any attention to who I am as an actor. I'm so taken up by the roles. I am just fully involved in the intricacies of the roles to such an extent that I don't know who exactly I am. And I don't pause to even think about it. It's as though, you are making a lot of money, and this is exactly what happens in Hollywood and Bollywood, that the very successful actors make so much money that they act in simultaneous movies. And they are very busy. They hardly have time to have lunch when the next movie is beckoning. And they don't have time to think about who I am, what's happening to me, what is my life. They don't have time to talk to anybody, your children or spouses or anything. You're just immediately going from one movie to the other. This is exactly what is happening to us. So we are fully involved in the details of the various roles that we play, not really pausing or even having an opportunity to understand who is it that I am who's playing the roles. And so in Vedanta, for example, so now here one important thing to see, what the dream experience teaches us. This may have to, we may have to really think about this. Yeah, this is an important thing for us to see. So this is a goal. We don't quite understand it yet, but this is what we need to understand. What the dream experience shows us is that my experiences of the various movies or towns is very momentary and leaves no effect on me. This is what the dream experience is intended to show me. See, please to understand this very well. This is all the design this is how God has designed our life very carefully. Sometimes we should see how is it that we spend so much time in the dream. I actually saw a work by someone. It's very interesting. This is just amazing that there is a person who is trying to figure, not person, but the whole department of psychology and physiology and medicine and all of those kinds of things. They are saying that we waste so much time sleeping and dreaming. Why? Sleeping we can understand because you're tired and so you need to replenish your energies and so on. But why spend so much time dreaming? So they think, this is the interesting thing about America, US, is that people have all these kinds of ideas. So what if we did this? Well, if you look at some basic nature, no, we can change it. This is exactly, Swami Dayanand used to say that. He says, I am so impressed by the Americans, especially the Americans, who look at nature as something that can be changed. So, for example, the daylight saving time. From time immemorial, there is a natural order as to when sunlight would happen, sunset would happen, what you should do during the day, what you should do during the night, how long it's going to be. All of that is natural. And just adapt your life to it. But the Americans said no. What if we change the daylight saving time and change our clocks one way or the other? Swamiji says, I am just amazed. Incredible how this is done. In the light of the same kind of a thing is this attempt by certain people to see if they can eliminate dreaming. Dreaming is a natural phenomena. Everybody has to have a waking and a dream. There's got to be some reason for it. Everything naturally has some reason. Well, no, we want to change it. because we're wasting, 60 years of your life. If you see that about 25 years of your life is dreaming, it doesn't do anything for you, doesn't last. It has some psychological effect that it acts as a safety valve, but it doesn't do anything. So why don't we try to eliminate it? Fascinating. Hey, there is a reason for it. There is a reason for dreaming. God is much, much, much more intelligent and wiser than we think anyone can be. Much more so. Incredibly more so. And instead of trying to understand the magic of works of the design of Ishvara, we try to change it. So the dream shows us some amazing facts that we must understand in order to wake up fully, in order to prabuddha, in order to be prabuddha. We need to understand why the dream is made. Not the details of the dream, like Freud does, and so a lot of other psychologists do. That let's understand how we dream and interpret the occurrences of dream to understand what our problems are. Shastra says there's no reason to do that. As you know, you just draw certain conclusions from the dream and apply it to your waking state, as we will do in a minute. But there's no reason to analyze individual dreams. There's no reason to do so. So in summarizing, as we will explain this in a minute, the dream is to explain how you can wake up from the so-called waking state. This is what a dream state should teach us. Then the deep sleep state should teach us something else. And what that should teach us, both of them have a very particular meaning. Dream, we already just saw this. The deep sleep teaches us the possibility of complete freedom, moksha. Because I think that there's no doubt about the fact that all of us don't understand what complete freedom really means. What do you mean by moksha? It's not clear to us. All that is clear to us is that we can be happy at times. This one we know. Not very many times, but whatever time we are, we know exactly how to be happy. And we need to extend it. We need to, as soon as we are done with one happy event, we want to jump into another happy event. So we want to string together lots of happiness things. This much we can do. But to even not want to be happy where I am already happy, this I am not sure about it. To show that the deep sleep state is shown. How? This is an interesting thing to see. I remember Swami Dayananda used to also pointing this out. He said, look, if you analyze your status in life, what you will find is that all of us have a to-do list. So if you were to interview someone and say, I'm here to interview you as to who you are, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the life, tell us everything. No holds barred. Not just laying how much education did you get, who did you get married to, and where were you born, not like that, but just a complete analysis of who you are. Are you completely happy? So the people will say, no, not completely happy. Why not? Do you know why not? He says, yeah, I think I know. Because what I have is this list, which I don't really write down most of the time. I just have it in my mind. And the list says, I don't have enough money. I need to make more money. And once I make that money, I'll be very happy. Okay, is that it? No, there's some more things. Anything else? What else? I need to find someone who really loves me as much as I deserve. Okay? Are you looking for someone? Yes, I'm looking for someone. Okay, all right. Are you done? Anything else? Oh yeah, there's one other thing. I have had a medical problem that bothers me. It's not completely, it's not debilitating, but it bothers me. And I want to really talk to someone who can give me. So then that's it. Well, I have some more, but those are the three main things that I have. So do you know, each one of us will have some variations of this list. All over. All over we will have it. That we will have 20 different things. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. Once it is done, then I'll be happy. Well, you take off 3 or 4 things from the list, you add another 3, 4 on top of that. So the list never really goes away. It stays there the same way. So my conclusion is that unless my list is down to 0, I will not be happy. Isn't it? I'll not be completely happy because I've got this to-do list in my life hanging over me all the time. So if you talk about moksha, moksha is a sense where you are needing nothing. You want nothing. You're fine the way you are. That is the concept of moksha. I don't understand that because I've always been needing something. Maybe what I can do is the to-do list can go down to 1 or 2 items. Right now there's 20 long, but maybe if I can reduce it, then I'll be happy. I don't even want complete moksha. But if I'm able to, I don't mind being unhappy some of the time as long as I'm happy majority of the time. This is what we want to do. They used to say that we ask someone, do you want to be happy? He says, yes, of course. What do you mean? Don't you want to be happy? He says, yeah, no, but I'm asking you. Okay. All right, let me ask you something. Do you want to be happy inside the home or outside the home? He says, what kind of a question is that? Of course I wanted both. I don't have a choice. Supposing then the question can be, supposing you have to choose between inside or the outside. then you can give some kind of a silly answer to that, either outside only or inside only. All right, okay, next question. Do you want to be happy in the evening or in the morning? Another ridiculous question. So really the question is, don't ask me any conditions when I will be happy. I just want to be happy. So the only question would be, can you be completely happy? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Swami Dayanand Ji used to say that, listen, you have this mental to-do list hanging over, you're always keeping it in your pocket. Okay, let me take it out. What is it that I need to do now? Do you know? I remember when I met Swamiji and I started to understand a little bit about this back in the mid 70s, 73, 74, 75. My level of anxiety and unhappiness, it was much more than it is now. And anxiousness and fear, all those kinds of things. So when he was talking about this, which I'm just going to mention about this in a minute, this hit me very strongly. Because I really had this to-do list in my mind all the time. I cannot be happy until I do this, I do this, I do this. Swamiji said, listen, let me ask you something. When you are in deep sleep, are you beset with any worries or problems? So we said, no. Are you not totally happy with yourself? And we say, yes, we are. Any complaints when you're deep sleep? No. Where is the to-do list at that time? Have you fulfilled the to-do list? No, not really, because the same to-do list which I went to bed with, if anything, it's becoming larger in the morning. I forgot to tick off some things at night time, but during the night I was thinking, I forgot to do that. I have to pay my property taxes. I better do that. Where is the property tax going to come from? Do I have enough money? All those kinds of things. I better write that down. Really, I think just talking about that, one of the good habits I got into was to really maintain, for me this was really important. You have these diaries, small diaries that are about half. Yeah. This is the best thing that I ever did. So this is a kind of like a little diary book like this that has a wire bound. That makes a huge difference. Once I did this about 10 years ago, I tell you my productivity and my accomplishments improved. How? So on this diary, I do like this. And it should be wire bound so that it is open. Those darn things that are closed like this, They are hard to keep open. I want it to be open whenever I can, on my desk all the time. And that should be done when I have a spring, a sort of a wire bound kind of a thing. Okay? So I tell you this, I don't know how if I found out from some place, but I did it on my own. On the right side, I write down things that I have to do with bullets. On the left hand side are any details about things that might have transpired, a telephone call. Something is, just the other day, for example, my remote control for the gate was not working. And in a house like this happens all the time. Something or the other is broken. So I didn't know what to do, so I had to call. I called up, and this was a very successful I'm so happy. My wife accuses me that I don't really think I have a engineering degree because I cannot fix many of the things. But once I put my mind to it, I can do it. So I called a Chamberlain who makes all the remote controls, and I say this is not working. So this is like 4 or 5 months ago. They said buy this new one and then try to sync it. I don't know if I can sync it, without calling somebody, but I'll try. So I went down. So my note was call the technician at Chamberlain. And on the left hand side was when she did call me back, I had to write down some notes. So this is on the left hand side. Anyway, this went on for a few days. I figured out exactly how to do it. It's now fixed. Now I have the control working and it's all doing well. So the to-do list you have is always there with you. In those days when I met Swamiji, my level of anxiety was much worse than it is now. And when he made this statement, that made a big impression on me. He said, tell me, when you are deep asleep, is your to-do list gone? And he's not asking everybody. He was just saying, so we should say no. He says, aren't you happy completely? Don't you see that is what moksha looks like? I tell you, that really, I got what he was talking about. So in summary, now we can say that, so it's just to complete that story, what it means is, I don't need to do anything in order to be happy. I need to know how, because I already have the experience of being happy without doing anything, which is a deep sleep. This is the design of Ishvara. The design of Ishvara is beautiful. It wants to give you a sample so that you actually don't doubt it. Otherwise, people will say, how can it be? How can you be happy without doing anything? You cannot do that. Okay? Every night, it's not like only once in your lifetime. Every night the same experience is given to me as an example of how this can be possible. Then how to make that into a reality is what this verse is all about. How to wake up to see. See, the problem with the deep sleep is that even though I am happy, while I am deeply asleep, don't know that I'm happy. It only later on, when I draw my conclusions, I can come up to say, yes, last night I was very happy. But while I am there, I am not cognizant of the fact that I am completely happy. In fact, they say that the yogic samadhi, where you just go into yama, niyama, etc., all the way up to dharana, dhyanam, and samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. The nirvikalpa samadhi is better than deep sleep, because in deep sleep, even though the experience of the deep sleep is identical to nirvikalpa samadhi, but in deep sleep you are not aware of the fact that you are happy. It's only later you can reflect on it. Why are you not aware of the fact that you are happy? So let me pause for a minute and have you think about it. This is a verbal question. This is a test, a verbal test. Think about it. You should be able to answer this. I think we have been talking about the introduction and so on. By the way, that gives me an opportunity to just interrupt myself and say that for the last 2-3 years, as you know, we have made an attempt to introduce the topic to some people that didn't know anything about Vedanta. Now, we did this back in, 2018, 2019, when many of you with the background on yoga joined this, and we went through this. And we have gone through this where we have done an introduction to Vedanta, kind of like Tattva Bodha. Then we did Drikdrishya Viveka, and then we are doing this Upanishad. So this side process that we have been doing, in my view, is almost over. So you have now hopefully caught up with the more experienced students who have gotten an introduction in a very structured manner, and now that we have done an Upanishad also, you are in sync with it. So so what I'm saying is that after this, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have some ideas, but it is no longer keeping the newer people in sight in order to fashion a class. It'll all be synced in. So anyway, that gives me an opportunity to kind of talk about that. But let me ask you a verbal test. Think about it. Why is it that you are not able to see that you are happy while you are asleep? Unlike Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where you are just as happy as in deep sleep, but you are aware of it. What's the difference? I hope your answer is that in deep sleep you are identified with the causal body. That is the right answer. So, we have identification with gross body, subtle body, and causal body in the waking state. In the dream state, we give up the identification with the gross body, but we keep it with subtle body and the causal body. And then in deep sleep state, we give up the identification with the gross body and the subtle body, but keep it with the causal body. The causal body is what? Ignorance. Total ignorance is causal body. Because it is the ignorance of myself that gives rise to the dream state and to the waking state. So the causal body identification stays with me in deep sleep, and that is the reason, unlike the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I am not aware of the fact that I am happy. That's the right answer. So in the YouTube way, this is our midterm. If we were doing it in round, I think it would be nice for me to send out little pieces of paper and saying, okay, answer this just to see whether you get it or not. Anyway, so that's the answer. So now we can say that both the dream and the deep sleep states are meant for something. The dream state is to teach us that experienced things, like a role in a movie or role in a play, does not last for me. I am independent of it. Even before I started the role, I'm independent with it while I'm playing, and I completely become independent of it. Sakale viline tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram adharam anandam akhanda bhotam yasmin layam yati puratrayecha. So the dream state is intended to show me that even though I have experiences very much like the waking state, it does not affect me. Because after waking up from the dream, none of that even stays with me. It's gone. And similarly to that is the waking state, which I should think about is like the dream, and none of the things that I'm experiencing are going to leave anything with me once I'm awake. How this will happen needs to be talked about. So I am running out of time. It's already 11:13. I don't have enough time to review this. I think this is an important topic and we would leave it to another class. So I would just summarize to say that our life, which is acting in a circle of visiting 3 different cities or acting in 3 different plays, is intended with some very definite ideas about how to view my life in such a way that I have an opportunity to fully be awake from the sleepiness that I have, that I am this, I am that, I am that. In fact, those are just roles, and I'm independent of all those three, and I should see that I, as an actor, is something completely different. This is what we have to see. And if we see that and we pursue that, we practice it, we find that that is really, in fact, the truth. And that constitutes the complete waking up called moksha. So this we will finish this next time when we meet. So with that, I close the class today. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityomaham Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. All right, let's see if you have any questions. So many of you are attending both the classes. That is just amazing to me, how you are able to spend that much time. So Keshav, it says that 3 cities and movies may be referred to as 3 gunas, ? Where we experience different types of pleasures and joys and sorrows. Not quite. So the gunas are, that's a different thing, Keshav. The gunas all are intertwined with the states that we talk about, but here it just means the 3 types of experiences that we have. So the gunas are part of the experience, sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, and there are some parts of it, like for example in the deep sleep state, it is only tamas. There's no rajas, no. But during the others, all 3 are there. Tamoguna is also there. For example, when you tamoguna, the gunas discussion is different from this. This is different. So the 3 states of experiences are the ones that are talked about as cities or roles. So the experience where I use my body and mind fully is the waking state. The experience where I abandon this body and come up with a brand new body to experience mentally is the dream state. So it's a state of experience that we talk about, not gunas per se. No. All right, I don't see any other questions. I'll wait for another short time to see if you have any. Happy to see you all. It's good to just spent some time talking about this. So if you don't have any questions, then we will see you next week. Hari Om.